left, left, right, left, right, left.
तू जिंदा है तू जिंदगी की जीत में यकीन कर, अगर कहीं है स्वर्ग तो उतार ला जमीन पर। तू जिंदा है तू जिंदगी की जीत में यकीन कर, अगर कहीं है स्वर्ग तो उतार ला जमीन पर। तू जिंदा है। तू जिंदगी की जीत में यकीन कर, अगर कहीं है स्वर्ग तो उतार ला जमीन पर। तू जिंदा है। ये गम के और 4 दिन, सितम के और 4 दिन, ये दिन भी जाएंगे गुजर गुजर गए 1000 दिन। ये गम के और 4 दिन, सितम के और 4 दिन, ये दिन भी जाएंगे गुजर गुजर गए 1000 दिन।
कभी तो होगी इस चमन पे भी बहार की नजर,
अगर कहीं है स्वर्ग तो उतार ला जमीन पर। तू जिंदा है तू जिंदगी की जीत में यकीन कर, अगर कहीं है स्वर्ग।
हम कैसे समाज में रहते हैं जहाँ पर इंसान को अपना ही जीवन जीने की आज़ादी नहीं है?
Women being raped and children being killed, and how insensitive our society has become.
People are not wrong. What is wrong is their religion. What is wrong is their social ideology.
Now the point is, do we want to sustain institutions in which equality and liberty cannot be sustained?
एक समय था जब गरीबी से लड़ने की जरूरत थी, अब वो समय आया है जब सांप्रदायिकता से लड़ने की जरूरत है।
Struggle against communalism can be properly waged by young people like you if you constantly interact with people around you.
People are having so much of myths regarding Muslim community.
हमारे खेलों तक पे असर देखने को मिलता है।
अपने निजी स्वार्थों के लिए, निजी लाभ के लिए वो पूरे शहर का, पूरे समाज का माहौल बिल्कुल खराब कर देता है।
I refuse to believe that a majority of our media is spreading hate or prejudice.
आपस में इस तरह की चीजें चलती रहे, समाज बटा रहे और उनको रोटियां सेकने का जो मौका मिलता रहे।
Generally, the people who perpetuate these crimes, they get away without getting any punishment.
Suppose such a carnage breaks out around you, what are you going to do?
Don't forget Afghanistan, don't forget Taliban, don't forget that these are the consequences of great internal strife produced by the same factors at work in our part of the world. Don't forget that.
Fascism in India will not come in the form in which it has come in Europe. Fascism in India will come in the form of communism.
Even if not in the short run, I'm quite optimistic in the long run it will be defeated. It has to be defeated because it cannot survive. Because history has not been shaped like this. And history will come to the rescue of the future of a great nation like India.
I would like to start with 1925 when the RSS was founded by Dr. K.B. Hedgewar. He was a disciple of B.S. Munje, one of the important Hindu leaders of the time, and also a disciple of Bal Gangadhar Tilak. RSS emerged as an antagonism towards Gandhian politics, particularly Gandhi's approach of communal cooperation during non-cooperation movement. That was decried, and Gandhi was blamed and told that you are responsible for these riots, and these are not Hindu-Muslim riots, they are primarily Muslim riots, and Muslims are not to be trusted. They are like the snakes, Yavanas snakes, and all that categories. A lot of debates during the 20s you will find castigating Gandhi, making him responsible for all these events. So this is the first ideological basis of RSS. Today also you find that anti-Gandhism means anti-Congressism. So this is one part of the RSS. Then secondly, Nagpur was emerging as the center of Dalit politics. Ambedkar was emerging as a powerful Dalit leader. Before that, in 1850s, you have the legacy of Jyotiba Phule, who established schools for women, and Nagpur was very, very important place. So the second is anti-Dalit plank of the RSS. Thirdly, all these 5 people assembled in that day, Vijayadashami Day, they were all Brahmins, Maharashtrian Brahmins. Primarily, it was an organization of Brahmins who were feeling threatened by the emergence of Dalit identity. 1923, there was Hindu-Muslim riots at Nagpur, where Hedgewar had organized a few boys and took part in that riots, and he found that he could organize Hindu boys, and this could be replicated, like we were talking of Gujarat experiment. So he said Nagpur experiment could be replicated at other places, and we need an organization for the Hindus. Hedgewar picked up the boys and brought them together and built up this organization. Started regular shakhas and imparted them 2 types of training. One is physical, the other is intellectual. So physical training is known as sharirik. When a boy comes to RSS, he comes for physical activities. He wants to play kabaddi, he wants to play games, he wants to be associated with the boys. He is recruited. And after that, he is gradually introduced to intellectual training, that is known as Bauddhic. In Bauddhic section, you find that Muslims are traitors. There is a Christian conspiracy who had a very glorious history, and Muslims are traitors, attackers, and they destroy temples, they oppress our women. So all these stories are fed to the minds of the boys who were at the age group of 14, 15, 16 and so on. But what he did, he trained 100 Maharashtrian Brahmin boys and dispatched them to various parts of North India, to Banaras Hindu University, to outside Maharashtra, to Punjab, and all these boys, many of them are dead, they were personally loyal to him, they were sent to different parts of the country. Hedgewar died in 1940. At that time, the organization has spread out of Maharashtra to North India and some other places. And before his death, he called a meeting and he said that I see the miniature of Hindu Rashtra. These boys, some of them were educated and all, they went to Banaras Hindu University. And in Banaras Hindu University, M.S. Golwalkar was a student, and then he became a professor in biology. He was a young person who never wanted to join politics in that sense. Golwalkar was chosen as the successor of Hedgewar. This is also another aspect. Their successor is not democratically elected. He is chosen, and he would be chosen by the predecessor, and there would be no questioning. There were many senior people to Golwalkar, but they were all ignored. Savarkar was also not accepted. Savarkar had a very curious history. When he was put into Andaman jails, after that, the British able to crack him. And somehow, for whatever reasons, Savarkar succumbed to the pressure. That is why some people question whether it is really proper to call Savarkar as, Veer Savarkar, because ultimately, he surrendered. And mind you, Savarkar never believed in Hinduism, never believed in religion. He was an atheist, like Jinnah. There was a crisis. Who is Hindu? When we are talking of Hindu community, who is Hindu? What is the definition? Many definitions were given. Different individuals gave different definitions of Hindu. One definition, that those who believe in Vedas, they are Hindus. But it was not accepted, because everybody doesn't believe in Vedas. In fact, we don't know what is Veda. Any of you, right, has seen a Veda in any form? So there are certain question marks. So people said, no, we don't trust in Vedas, we don't know what is Veda. We just hear from somebody that, okay, there are 4 Vedas. So this is not acceptable. Another definition came. Those who burn their dead bodies, they are Hindus. But again there was a contest. This was not accepted because in Hindu religion, sannyasis' dead bodies are never cremated. They are buried. So they said no. This is also not acceptable. Savarkar came out for the first time, not a religious definition of Hindus, but a political definition of Hindu. He says, Hindu is a person who looks up this land from Indus to the sea as his fatherland as well as his holy land. Why fatherland? Here you find the German connection. That we usually talk about motherland, we never talk about fatherland. But in Germany at that time, it was all fatherland. And he said, okay, it is fatherland and this. So this is a very clear definition of Hindu, that only Hindus have both these criteria. The Muslims and Christians, because their religious place is at Jerusalem and Mecca, they don't constitute Hindustan. So they are excluded. So for the first time, Hindus got a definition, a political definition, and it was accepted by all the existing Hindu leadership of the time. They all accepted Savarkar's definition, and RSS also accepted the Savarkar's definition. Golwalkar was inward looking. He had an ideological bent of mind. So he produced a text, and that text is "We or Our Nationhood Defined." That is the ideological tract of the RSS, though RSS has later discarded it. Discarded in the sense that RSS say, no, we don't stock it, we don't subscribe to it, but that text is very, very crucial. Golwalkar's text very clearly praises Hitler, and it says that Hitler is very much right. He appreciates German race pride and says that, what he has done to the Jews is completely fair, and we must emulate Germany. So this is a tract where you find all the references and praising Hitler and defining the contours of Hindu Rashtra, which the RSS really subscribes. During his predecessor's time, the first RSS affiliate came up, that is Rashtra Sevika Samiti in 1936. Some women actually who were close to Sangh Parivar families, they went and talked to Hedgewar and said that we want to open one women's organization parallel to RSS. But Hedgewar said, no, it is not desirable, my boys would be distracted. But anyway, you see the difference in name. It is Swayam Sevak Sangh, it is Sevika Samiti. Swayam Sevak Sangh means you are capable. That means this shows also the part of the ideology of the RSS. RSS vision, RSS thinking, ideas about women. That when the boy or the man is Swayam Sevak, right, the woman is a Sevika. Simply, it is not Swayam Sevika because she can't look after herself. So that is the position Hedgewar took. That's why the name came. You see there is a difference in the name, nomenclature. And after that, you find 1955, they have created BMS, Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh. One trained, committed RSS worker was given the charge that, okay, you go, you organize the labor, working class, and Dattopant Thengdi was given this responsibility. And till today, you find that Thengdi is in charge. And when they talk of Swadeshi, when they talk of economic policy, when there is some resistance to the government policies or whatever, you find that Thengdi is the forefront. So imagine from 55 to 2005, 40 years, and Golwalkar remained at the top for 33 years. 73 he died. So one man, completely authoritarian is his approach, does not allow any questioning, protest or challenge. Right? Given complete authority to run the organization. How the political wing started, that also we must understand. Political wing was Bharatiya Jansangh. It was set up in 1951. 1951, after Gandhi's murder, RSS was banned. And I told you that how the ideology was completely against Gandhism. And RSS people don't say murder, they say it is Badh, Gandhi Badh, not Gandhi Hatya. In religious term, that means Gandhi was a demon and demon was sacrificed. This is a very serious difference in nomenclature between Hatya and Badh. And they always use that. Golwalkar created these parivar or affiliates, Vishwa Hindu Parishad. 1964 it was created. So you find RSS has today about 150, they admit 150, 60. I think active out of them would be not less than 100. So 100 affiliates working all over the country with lot of resources at their command, with lot of trained manpower, organized cadre who just follow the instructions. सूचना का अलावा सोचना नहीं है. That means you have to just carry out the instructions. You don't have to think. You have to take सूचना. Only instructions. You can't question. Questioning is never allowed in RSS organization. It is an hierarchical organization. And in a hierarchical organization, you don't have any right to question the wisdom of your superior. And the highest Sarsang Chalak, he knows what is good for you. When Bala Sahib Deoras came, in fact, India was passing through a very critical moment. 73, you know that the oil crisis. Indira Gandhi was losing her popularity, particularly the slogans like Garibi Hatao and everything, they were becoming more populist rather than substantive. And there was a division in the communist parties. And Bala Sahib Deoras was very, very political in his approach and mind. And he found these opportunities absolutely perfect. There was a movement again in Gujarat in 73, Nav Nirman Samiti against Chiman Bhai Patel. And ABVP was at the forefront. Before that, many protests against reservation policy. So Gujarat Nav Nirman Samiti, ABVP came forward. He gave the green signal to ABVP, go ahead and fight Chiman Bhai Patel government. Then in Bihar, JP was emerging as a strong leader counter to Mrs. Gandhi. And that was, I think, an opportune moment when JP had lot of respectability, credibility, and JP was leader without cadre. RSS had cadre without any leadership. So there was a marriage of convenience. RSS for the first time joined JP and directly fought against Mrs. Gandhi's emergency. RSS was suffering from this complex always, that they did not take part in freedom movement. They had nothing to boast about. They had no role in the freedom movement except very negative role, dividing the communities. And now they very clearly said that, okay, we are part of the second freedom struggle. We have been arrested, and they were fortunately or unfortunately rewarded. Bharatiya Janasangh, which was created in 51, merged itself in Janata Party, and it emerged as the biggest constituent within the Janata Party, more than 90 member of parliament at that time, 1977. And Vajpayee, Advani got two crucial portfolios, external affairs and information and broadcasting. And 77 to 79 is very crucial for the growth of RSS. That time RSS took a decision that ABVP will not contest Students' Union election, and ABVP did not contest. You know, at that time the government spent crores of rupees on adult education program, and that money was given to RSS Sangh Parivar. So that 2.5 years they got all the resources from the government, and the cadre was growing. Earlier it was difficult for them to feed the cadre, but now it's a huge cadre. To sustain that cadre, you need some resources, and the resources came from the government. Vishwa Hindu Parishad was created in 1964, but it was a marginal organization. The main job of BHP was to counter Christian missionaries in tribal areas. So they sent some BHP functionaries to different tribal places, opened certain institutions. BHP was just marginal. Meenakshipuram, Shahabano, Ayodhya. They realized that at this juncture, we need just not the political affiliate, but the religious affiliate at that time. And VSP came to the center stage. And you know that Rath Yatra and how VSP communalized the entire scenario, and now BJP is in power. Hindu Rashtra's first step has been realized, that a Swayam Sevak has become the Prime Minister. There are debates about liberal face of Vajpayee and radical face of Advani. This is all meaningless. Advani has changed his line. Today he is saying that, Gujarat shouldn't have happened. You couldn't stop Gujarat. They were saying that in BJP's regime, there would be no bhai, bhook and Vrashtachar. All those things you find together now. They say that it is a riot-free regime. After Gujarat, can you say that it's a riot-free regime? Hindu Rashtra concept is also gradually evolving. Earlier you found that it was primarily Muslims. But Golwalkar identified 3 enemies in his book in 1966. One is Muslim, number 2 Christians, number 3 communists. Today again definition is changing. When Deoras came, and after particularly this Ayodhya debate, you find there is another enemy of Hindu Rashtra. They are pseudo-secularists, like we people who are discussing secularism, right? Now, another enemy has been added. There lies the danger. And this enemy has been added not by anybody, but by Sudarshan. Sudarshan is now very clearly come out with the statement that there would be a Mahabharat. And in this Mahabharat, there would be 2 sides. I don't know who would be Kauravas and Pandavas, right? They consider themselves Pandavas, but I consider themselves Kauravas. The war is between Pandavas and Kauravas. The thrust is, now they are preparing the society for a final onslaught. And that final battle will be between RSS and non-RSS. Those Hindus who do not subscribe to the ideology of the RSS, they are also the enemies. So it is again another extension. No more just pseudo-secularist. If you are not with us, you are our enemy.
इन काली सदियों के सर से जब रात का आंचल ढलकेगा,
जब दुख के बादल पिघलेंगे, जब सुख का सागर छलकेगा, जब अंबर झूम के नाचेगा, जब धरती नगमे गाएगी, वो सुबह कभी तो आएगी, वो सुबह कभी